here. So let's select the plus sign and this and the cylinder. And I'm going to scale them both down by hitting S. Okay, so now we have these here. Let's just move them out of the way. And let's select the triangle and the cube. We can bring those up. We can scale it down. And you can hit 1, and let's try to line. this up to the floor. Okay, let's take these two. So I just tap one and then shift to tap the other one to select both. And we'll just move that down to the floor. Now, what you can do is feel free to rotate these. There we go. So we'll rotate. Let's see if I can just make this 0. We'll make this 0. Okay, there we go. So now they're both to 0. If you want to lay things down, so I'll just hit 1 again and just trying to line it up with the floor. So you can just arrange these how you want. You can add some other shapes. So just use Shift A. Maybe you want to add a UV sphere. So now we can add a sphere here. We'll do we'll do right click and shade smooth. You can even try this. You can see how it looks if you shade smooth. That looks weird. If it ever looks weird, try shade auto smooth. That looks better. Okay, so we have some shapes to make up our scene. I think in the next video, we're just going to do materials. So that's like changing the color of things and just changing how things look. Great job so far. This is one of the hardest things in Blender. So great job. Great job, great job, great job. So we did add a few lights earlier in the project, but I just want to go over a few things having to do with lights, which ties into materials, because materials will only look so good with the right lighting. So let's quickly go over lighting first, and then after that we'll jump to the materials. Okay, so one thing that I forgot, let's tap on our background here, right click and shade smooth, and now it's nice and smooth. So remember what I was saying, I like to edit in a window like this, but then after that we'll jump to the materials. Into materials, because materials will only look so good with the right lighting. So let's quickly go over lighting first, and then after that we'll jump to the materials. Okay, so one thing that I forgot, let's tap on our background here, right click and shade smooth, and now it's nice and smooth. So remember what I was saying, I like to edit in a window like this, but then have the rendered version as well. So let's go over to the animation tab, because remember that gives us that split window here. Okay, so now we have these two windows. You can adjust it by just sliding in the middle if you need. And this is the camera view. So let's hit Z and let's go to rendered. Okay, so this is our camera view. if it's somehow not the camera view, just hit 0 and it should go to the camera view. So over here, here, this is the camera, so you can adjust it if you'd like. So let's say we want to, I think I want to bring it up higher maybe, rotate it maybe a little higher, and rotate it down. So there's one thing that goes hand in hand with materials, and that's lighting. Lighting is how you see everything. So let's just start from scratch, just so it makes more sense. So let's go up to our lights here, or to our, we have two lights. There's the area light. Let's drag that into the lights. What is it called? Collection. So we'll drag that into the collection so we have both of our lights. And let's just turn both of them off. So you can see in the render tab, it's much darker, but it's actually, you can still see everything. And that's because of ambient lighting, the world lighting. If you look over here on this little tab here, so you'll see this little world. So this controls the ambient light. In order to properly see the lights that we're setting, let's take this strength and put it down to 0. So now everything is black. So that's a good base to start from, because now you can see what your lights are doing. So let's go back to the lights and turn them on. And let's turn off one. Let's turn off both, and then let's just bring them on one by one. So this is the area light. Okay, and you can move it around and really see how it's affecting our little pieces here. You can also go to these little corners, this little yellow box around it. You can make it bigger and see how it affects the scene. See how it kind of got a little softer. The smaller it gets, it's very harsh. So the shadows become very harsh. The bigger it is, the softer the shadows. Also, you can see that it's a box. You can come over here. So we're in this light tab here. So you can go over here, and right now the power is 1000. So of course you can adjust this. You can put 500 and it makes it softer. But let's say you want to change the shape. You can do that. Let's make it a rectangle, but let's make it wide. like so. Okay, something like that. Maybe we want to make it a little higher and then move it back. Okay, that's a little nicer. So we moved it back further, so now I'm going to make it a little stronger. So I'm going to put this back to 1,000. So now we have the other light, which we can bring back here. Pretty cool. You can move this around too, and you can really get some interesting light setups. So another thing I like to do is set one light to a little bit of a warmer color and one light to a cooler color. So let's take this light, the area light, and you can go over to color. Again, we're on this little light bulb, and you can change this to a little bit of a cooler color. So it's a little bluer. You can take this and set this to maybe a little warmer. Okay, I think that's kind of nice. So you see these, obviously you have the cast shadow. If you turn that off, it takes away the shadows, the natural shadows. But there's also multiple importance. Let's say we take this sphere, so tap on the sphere and go here to the materials. So tap on that, tap on the plus. So we've added a white material. This is just the default material. So let's say we want to change the base color to, we'll do a purple. Okay, so that's the base color is purple. Let's turn the roughness down. Okay, so now we turn the roughness down. You can see over here that it's really shiny. So this shine is from this light. This shadow is obviously from this piece. So when we go back to the light, and you see multiple importance, if I turn that off, so now we have the other light, which we can bring back here. Pretty cool. You can move this around too, and you can really get some interesting light setups. So another thing I like to do is set one light to a little bit of a warmer color and one light to a cooler color. So let's take this light, the area light, and you can go over to color. Again, we're on this little light bulb, and you can change this to a little bit of a cooler color. So it's a little bluer. You can take this and set this to maybe a little warmer. Okay, I think that's kind of nice. So you see these, obviously you have the cast shadow. If you turn that off, it takes away the shadows, the natural shadows. But there's also multiple importance. Let's say we take this sphere, so tap on the sphere and go here to the materials. So tap on that, tap on the plus. So we've added a white material. This is just the default material. So let's say we want to change the base color to, we'll do a purple. Okay, so that's the base color is purple. Let's turn the roughness down. Okay, so now we turn the roughness down. You can see over here that it's really shiny. So this shine is from this light. This shadow is obviously from this piece. So when we go back to the light and you see multiple importance, if I turn that off, then you don't see the reflection. So that's just another important thing that I wanted to show you about lights, but you would only see that if you have a material that's glossy. Oh, so also, and of course you have spread. Well, if I put 20 instead of 180, you can see it's very harsh and it's very narrow. The light is more concentrated in a narrow rather than 180. It's much wider and much softer. And of course you can play around with these other lights and you know, they're very, very different. Fool around with them and have some fun, but that's pretty much it. But that's pretty much a quick and dirty when it comes to lights. So in the next video, let's just add some more colors and play with some more materials with these shapes that we have in the scene. Maybe we'll make it a little bit warmer, so a little bit more yellowish orange. Maybe we'll make it a little more rough. And let's go down to emission. So emission is like glowing, it means emitting light. Okay, so the color of the emission you can set here, so we'll do it a little bit warmer. And then we can do the strength, so let's just do up one at a time. And slowly you'll see that it will glow. Okay, you don't want to turn it up too crazy. Let's just put it to let's just put it to 1. You can't really see it unless you do this. If you go to the lights and turn them off, then you can see it. So ambient lighting and the lighting of your scene plays a major role in things that are glowing or supposed to be glowing. And another quick little tip, so you can add a light. Maybe I'll put the radius up a bit. I'll move it out a little bit more. Maybe I'll match the color of this point light, and then I can turn this up to maybe 50 or even like 500 if I want it to be really bright. Oops. So you can get creative with that. If you need more lights, then you can add in regular lights. That's the beautiful thing about blenders. You can add in as many lights as you want. So that's just another thing that sometimes I have to do if a light isn't working as brightly as I want it to work. Okay, let's take the backdrop and let's add a new material. Let's name it BG. And maybe we want it to be white, but maybe we want it a little bit more metallic. It should eventually be a little bit more glossy. So you can just play around with these. I'm just kind of running through these. Maybe we'll make it a little grayer. Turn the metallic up. Maybe we'll turn the roughness down a bit so it's a little more shiny. That's kind of cool. Okay, of course you can make yours as shiny or as not shiny as you want. It is your world. I'm going to take this metalness out, I think. And that's pretty much how you set materials and set colors. So there's a lot of things to play with. Go ahead and color these other things, different colors. You can just go in here, add a material. You don't have to rename it, but I like to rename it just to keep it simple. Like if I wanted this to be the same red as the YouTube red, then I would go here, YT red, boom, and it's the same. Same thing here. You can add it, and you can change it or not change it. Okay, so yeah, so just play around with these things, and that's pretty much materials. I mean, there's a lot more that we can get into, but I think for now, that's a pretty good preview of just how many things are available. You can also go here and you can change to like glass. You can make things into glass. You can change the color. You know, there's lots of fun things that you can do. So yeah, I think this is a good place for you to experiment, make shapes. You can make cubes, spheres, cylinders, place them in your scene, make a little interesting scene. I think in the next video, we're just going to render the scene, and we might play around with a few other things, but I think we can just render. Great job so far. Make sure you save your progress, and yeah, let's jump to the next video. All right. Alright, so here are my shapes. I just duplicated them and placed them around and changed the colors and had a little fun. So right here, these are the render settings. So we're cycles. And then down here where it says render, we're at 300 max samples. If you have like a really good computer, you can make this number a little bit higher. If your computer's a little bit slower, you can make this number less. So it's all fun. So right here, these are the render settings. Here are my shapes. I just duplicated them and placed them around and changed the colors and had a little fun. So right here, these are the render settings. So we're cycles. And then down here where it says render, we're at 300 max samples. If you have like a really good computer, you can make this number a little bit higher. If your computer's a little bit slower, you can make this number less. So it's all going to depend on how long things take to render. Oh, the other thing that I want to mention, this is just extra credit, if you want to go down to color management, so there's some extra things here. View transform, sometimes I'll put it to Chronos, which is like a lot more poppy. All the colors pop a lot more. There's standard. I think I like standard. You can also adjust the look. So maybe sometimes I do medium high contrast, which is kind of nice. So you can also adjust that as well. So I'll just leave the view transform at standard. I'll leave the look to none. Okay, so next down here is the output setting. So right now this is at 1920 by 1080. I'm gonna make mine bigger. So I'm gonna tap here. Then I'm going to go up to
4K UHD TV 2160p.
Here the resolution is a lot higher. Render image. So this should take a little bit longer because the image is... Okay, so next down here is the output setting. So right now this is at 1920 by 1080. I'm going to make mine bigger. So I'm going to tap here. Then I'm going to go up to
4K UHD TV 2160p.
Here the resolution is a lot higher. Render image. So this should take a little bit longer because the image is much... Here the resolution is a lot higher. Render image. So this should be... This should take a little bit longer because the image is much bigger. Beautiful. I like this render. I'm happy with this render. But sometimes I like to put that nice photographic swag on it. So I'm going to hit X here. So let's go to our camera. So we go to the camera. Let's go down to the camera settings here. And let's go down to depth of field. So we'll tap depth of field. Okay, so we're on this screen. Hit Shift A and we'll add an empty. So go to empty and add a circle. Doesn't matter what shape, but we're going to do a circle. So let's say we want to focus kind of on this green sphere. So just move the circle to so it's kind of near this green sphere. So now we'll go back to camera. We'll go down to depth of field and see where it says focus on object. Tap that little thing and then find your, oh, there it is. So find the empty. Okay, so we found the empty, so it says empty here. So now we go down to the f-stop and we can put that down to we put it down to 0.1. You can see that this is in focus, but all these other things behind it are not. So that just gives a very cinematic look to certain things. And you can move this around to change where it's gonna focus. And also, let's see which light I like more. It's kind of pretty, but I think I like this. So I'm gonna turn both of these off, and then I'll render it with just this light. So let's render this and see how it looks. I think it looks amazing. Well, I am very happy with this. I hope you have a lot of room to play around. I really enjoyed making these. I'm gonna save it. So I'm just gonna go to Image, Save, SK, Final, Shapes, and I'm gonna shave it. I'm gonna save it to my Mac actually. And I love it. So you have infinite ways that you can add lights, add shapes. I'm going to probably play around with this a little bit more, see what else I can get. But great job, well done. I will see you in the next and last video. This was a doozy. Congratulations on getting through it. Number one, Blender is notoriously difficult and confusing, but I hope that you were able to comprehend some of what I'm talking about. The great thing about it is you can always come back to each individual part. I tried to break it up so that if you needed to come back to something specific, it wouldn't be that difficult to kind of find it and then kind of jump back into it. It is going to take time. I would say as with anything, but Blender's a little more difficult than just anything because there's just so many levels to it. I'm still learning it myself. I have a long way to go, but I hope that you feel more confident jumping into Blender and figuring out what you need to get your art looking the best that it can be. So depending on how this video does and how the response is, I'm looking forward to going into, making a turntable, setting up lights this way or that way, and there's so many nuances to Blender. I'm excited to teach. It still annoys me and it still literally makes my blood boil, but I understand the advantages. I know enough that I sort of can wrap my mind around how